Okay, we are recording. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this No Time to Waste presentation. My name is Camille Licate. I am the founder of Kids for Positive Change. Kids for Positive Change is a multimedia educational company that strives to reach, teach, and inspire kids and adults to take positive action for the planet. Joining us today is Bodie, my rescue rooster. He's my sidekick and will be perhaps crowing and participating in our presentation today. So, my presentation is in three parts today. I'm going to share my screen and take you through the No Time to Waste program and the student-led Take Action project, a food share table that's aligned with the program. I will then stop my share, take any questions about that portion of the presentation. And then I will share my screen again and take you through a basic educational presentation that I present to kids ages third grade, so around 8 years old, on up into junior high, so about 15 years old. I'll then stop my share, take any questions, and if time allows, I have a short expert excerpt from my Kids for Positive Change series, which is airing on a local PBS station here in Ohio and Erie, Pennsylvania, and it pertains to food waste. So, without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. All right. And David, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see the screen? Everything looking good?
Yes, looks great. Yep.
All right.
And
Awesome.
just remind people to mute themselves, please, so we can hear Camille. And as long as you did register for this webinar through the Action Network, we will send you a copy of the recording and any background information that Camille provides. And also, um, if you haven't registered through the Action Network, put your email in the chat and we will add that so that you will get the recordings.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, David. All right. So, Kids for Positive Change, empowering students to help the planet. The No Time to Waste program is a two-part program starting with interactive presentation and then a student-led food share table. Pictured here are third grade students from Ashtabula area city schools located in Ashtabula, Ohio, right on the shores of one of our five Great Lakes here in the United States, Lake Erie. How did this start? Well, I just facilitated a No Time to Waste presentation to third graders when I was in the school cafeteria. The custodian, Marie, rolled past the trash can, and I happened to peer in and I saw 20 plus perfectly good apples in the trash. And I looked at Marie and said, Marie, what's wrong with those apples? And she said, nothing. The kids just don't eat them. And in that moment, I knew that I had to take action. So, back in October of 2023, after launching the No Time to Waste Food Share Table project, I began to work with 315 third and fourth grade students to see if a food share table could help save food. The pilot project lasted from December 5th, 2023 to December 15th. The project was to engage third and fourth grade students in a community action project to educate them about sustainable alternatives to food waste and empower them to make a positive change within their school community. And seen here are fourth grade students at our very first pieced together food share table. So, how does a food share table work? At the end of every lunch period, and at this particular school, there were 9 lunch periods, select students, I call food waste heroes, would have collection baskets and go to every cafeteria table and collect any uneaten fruit, packaged snacks, Any products, as you see here, milk, juice, apples, a sandwich called Uncrustables. They would collect those items that students were going to throw away. And then that collected food was brought back to the food share table where we would have students pictured here wash and rebag any fruit that had been handled. They would sort and count the fruit and packaged snacks. And then once that count was completed, that collected food was then redistributed back to the student body, students who wanted an extra piece of food. Each day, students, also, like I said, known as food waste heroes, would take part in this program as collectors, counters, washers, dryers, and distributors. So I think we might have someone that is not muted. I'm gonna go through here and see if I can find you. Oops.
ICT.
Okay.
Okay, they
Okay.
just muted.
I think we're good. All right, perfect. So, why is this project important? Well, when we waste food, we are not just wasting the food on our plates. We are wasting all the resources that went into growing or raising that food. Resources like fresh water, seeds, animal feed, human labor, land cleared to grow or raise the food, and the fuel used to transport that food from the farm to the table. Here in America, I always add that 1 in 8 American households are experiencing food insecurity, so saving on eating food from landfills is all the more important. The goal of this project is to have students apply what they've learned about food waste at school and apply it at home, and to understand the importance of saving food throughout their lifetime. This project, as I said, is student led. Although we do have a senior supervisor, an adult that supervises the students, especially third and fourth grade students that range in age from 8 years old to 11 years old, we want the students to really take charge of this project. I call this project Learning with a Purpose because children are not only learning to save food, but they're also realizing that they can make a positive difference as they work together. The Food Share Table No Time to Waste project has a game, so students can play a food waste game to test their knowledge about why it's important to save food. And again, pictured here are food waste heroes. These are fourth graders, very proud of the food that they've collected during that select lunch period. Again, students are collectors. They're inventorying the food using a special list. They're doing math because they're counting up individual pieces of food. They're distributing the food and they're cooperating and communicating with one another. So this project goes far beyond just saving food. An example of our inventory sheet, and this can be fashioned any way you like, but as you can see, it's pretty simple. During our pilot project, we saved 814 pieces of food. This was based on 9 days and 315 students. As you see, the inventory sheet simply lists the date. On top in the green squares are the individual food items, what the number of those items that were collected on a daily basis, and then the totals. So it really started to give us a picture of what types of food were being wasted, and that had a greater positive input as the project expanded. The pilot project was so successful that we got the green light from the school system to roll it out for the remainder of the school year. So from February 1st, 2024 to May 30th, 2024, we continued the project and we added in another school. Within 90 days, now based on 720 students, 10,159 pieces of food were saved and again redistributed back to the student body. So if we see here, oh, Sarah, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. For some reason, I can't mute you. Let me see if I, oh, okay. Here we go. So data from the first year. 899 goldfish snacks, 1,262 apples, and 1,202 PB&J Crustables. These are sandwiches, they're PB&J sandwiches that are wrapped in plastic. 818 white milk cartons, 1,357 chocolate milks, and 1,043 cheese sticks. We also taught students about the carbon footprint. Within the No Time to Waste program, we emphasize that food that sits in landfills emits methane gas. That is a greenhouse gas that is warming our planet and contributing to climate change. So we emphasize to our students that when we save food, we're also reducing that carbon footprint. We also partnered with an organization called K through 12 Food Rescue. This organization offers free services. Those services took our data and converted it into the number of items rescued, what that would entail with meals rescued, and then it computed the carbon footprint reduction that we had based on the pounds of food that we rescued, that we saved. Rachel, would you please mute yourself? You're not muted. Thank you. I think Zoom has this new feature now that when you sign on, it doesn't mute you anymore. So I've had to be aware of that as well. Thank you. So this project was so successful that in its second year, we were able to roll it out for 75 days, still based roughly on 766 students, and we saved 5,803 pieces of food, again, which was redistributed back to the students. We weighed the food this school year, and it equaled 1,501 pounds of food that we saved. The data was very similar from year 1 to year 2. Chocolate milk still won the prize for the most food wasted, followed by cheese sticks, followed by apples. The positive results we had with our year-to-year comparison is year 2, based on the number of days that the table ran, saw a decrease of 35 pieces of food collected each day compared to year 1. So this reduction really reflected the fact that students, especially students that were part of our pilot program in year 1, were really understanding why they should save food. They were also understanding that maybe they didn't bring that food up to the food share table. Maybe they made a conscious choice to save that food for later or share it with a peer at their table. Additionally, we were able to work with the school district's nutritional service staff. Based on year 1 data, they were able to tweak their menu so there was less food wasted. An example of this, they saw that oranges were the top fruit, one of the top fruits wasted, because they realized giving an 8 or 9-year-old child an orange, it was almost impossible for that child to peel that orange. So now I'm happy to report they're either giving the children clementines, which are smaller citrus fruit, which is easy to peel, or they're simply slicing the oranges and they're now being eaten. Again, we partnered with K through 12 Food Rescue. This is a completely free organization if you choose to use it. And they did the breakdown in year 2, just like they did in year 1. So what is provided? What do we, Kids for Positive Change, provide to schools to help them launch this project? Well, one of the first things we provide is a 1-page all about food waste. I will be dropping a link in the chat after this portion of the presentation. It's a document called Climate Change Contributors. This document here, this 1-page about food waste, is included within that packet. It's a very simple 1-page. It describes why food waste is a problem. It describes sustainable solutions, climate change connections, and then what I like to call way cool. The way cool is how companies are dealing with food waste or the byproducts of food waste. My favorite is there is a company, there are several now that are partnering with applesauce companies like Mott's, and they're taking the byproduct, what's not used in the applesauce, which is usually the core and the stem and the skin of the apple, and they're making shoes. The shoes are apple leather. They're completely vegan shoes and they're made from the byproducts of apples. I like to wear my apple leather shoes when I'm presenting this project in person because the kids get a great kick out of the apple leather shoes. On this page as well, you see food share table guidelines. So these guidelines I write up per school because what I found when piloting this project was every school system is different. The steps are the same, but what you can do with that collected food is different depending how that food is sourced to the school. So let me get into this in a little more detail because at least here where I am in Ashtabula, Ohio, in the United States, this is very, very important. So within the main school system that I'm using as an example today, the food that is collected has to stay within the cafeteria and be redistributed back to those specific students. The reason for this very specific guideline is the food is state or federally funded. So the school system is paid a certain amount to buy the state and federal food. And because of that, the food can technically not leave the cafeteria because it is federally and state funded for those specific children. There are school systems I've worked with that do not have federally or state funded food. Therefore, they can take that food and they could gather it up and they can donate that food to maybe a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen. They also have more freedom with that food. I've had some schools be able to gather up all the food that was collected and then give it to specific teachers that serve that food to their students as an afternoon snack. So, depending on how your school's food is funded, how that food is coming in, those are the guidelines as far as the redistribution of that food. I will also note, and this is a big thing here in the United States, it might not be in other countries where you are, but we have very strict rules in public schools about peanut allergies. So we also have to be very aware that the food share table only collects food from the cafeteria that's produced from the cafeteria, and we're not collecting food from children that brought their lunches from home. So those are, again, another major guideline. When it comes to food share table supplies, they're very minimal. We were lucky enough to get a grant to buy this very nice long table, the collection baskets. We had our washing station where we had fruit trays. We had collection bins, labels, as you see, a little compost container, and a rolling cart. I've worked with schools that have none of this, that we've just pieced the table together with what certain teachers had in their classrooms. Really, you need some sort of a table. You need collection baskets for the food. Hand sanitizer is recommended, especially if you're dealing with fruits, and a fruit wash, which could simply be a vinegar and water spray, just something to wash the fruit. But again, supplies can be very minimal, or if you have a budget for supplies, I do have a supply list. The project extended into our upper grade levels with senior supervisors, which was really cool, especially if there were younger kids involved in this program. They got to have seniors. These are 17 and 18-year-olds that supervised the table. They were able, at least here in the school system that's represented through this presentation, to get community service hours and interact with younger children, which was, again, pretty cool for all involved. We also had individual student projects come out of our No Time to Waste program. As you see here, there was a presentation about food insecurity. So it really educated the school community about why this program was so important. A couple testimonials. The woman pictured here, Mary Michelini, was part of the nutritional service staff. When we first launched the table, Mary yelled at me. She was so angry because she thought this food share table was going to be one more thing for her to do. After I assured Mary that this food share table was self-sustaining, that I, along with my project manager, was in charge of the table, she became one of the biggest champions of the table. So if you're launching this in a larger school system, I highly advise meeting with nutritional services when you're meeting with the administration as you greenlight the project so they know every step of the way what's happening. Our custodian, Marie Schultz, where it all began with all those apples in the trash can, said that she was so excited about this program. It made her job easier because the trash was not as heavy because there was so little food wasted. An economical selling point. If you're trying to sell this program or this project to your school system, a selling point can be less waste equals less money. There are some school systems I know, particularly in the state of New York, that have to pay for their trash to be hauled from the school based on weight. So if the weight of the trash is less because there's less food waste, you're saving that school system money. So this is what I call a backdoor approach in trying to get this project off the ground, if that is the case within your school system. These are two fabulous faces, fourth graders that were so excited to be food waste heroes. I believe that children from all walks of life and all ages can be powerful change makers when they're given the right tools, the proper guidance, and the platform to ignite their bright ideas for a better world. So I ask all of you to join with me on this quest for a sustainable future by amplifying children's voices into a collective force for positive environmental change. Thank you so much. All right, at this time, I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to open up our meeting to any questions, and then I will go back in and take you through a program. Thank you, everyone. I'll take you through a program that I would present to a classroom, or I'll get a little into what's called a lunch and learn. So, does anybody have any questions? And you can either raise your hand or just unmute yourself. I'm going to open up the chat to see if anything's. Yes, Rachel. Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I don't know what time this is in
Good
various zones today.
evening. Yeah, for all the time
Um,
zones.
I'm in the Boston area, Massachusetts. I work at Brandeis University. I teach aspiring teachers, and I am currently overseeing a literacy grant that was granted by the state of Massachusetts for Brandeis and a school to partner on enhancing literacy. It happens to be that one of our teams is a fifth grade team looking at science literacy, and they're creating a spring long term study of sustainable Stanley School. And so food waste is on their list. Um, and so I'm coming to kind of gather information for them and to hopefully reach out at some point to connect one on one. But my main question is Massachusetts does not have climate change standards for learning K to 12. I know New Jersey does. I'm pretty sure Washington state, and there may be one other state that's begun to move into that direction. Have you had any luck connecting this work to learning standards? And if so, how, with whom? I've looked at the national science standards and other locations for support, and unfortunately
Yeah.
the state is not interested in even engaging conversations about climate education for elementary kids for sure.
Right. Right. So the short answer, Rachel, is no, but. So currently, when I'm teaching the No Time to Waste program, which I'm going to take you through, I do that backdoor approach of connecting food waste to climate change. So at least the children I'm teaching are getting, pun intended, a taste of that. Um, New York State, it was just announced this week, they are going to have climate standards. They're going to roll that out. That was just approved. It's so exciting. There is a wonderful organization called Gaia Scholastic. I've partnered with them. Rachel Arbor is the head of that. And she and I have talked about getting a grant for her to write specific curriculum that ties into science and literacy standards based on the No Time to Waste program. So that's something that is in the works. So at least this program would have that. What I've found here in Ashtabula and I in other places as well where I've worked, and you know this, I'm sure better than anyone, is teachers have way too much on their plate. There's so much for them to do. So what I try to do in the resources that I provide after the No Time to Waste program is a math worksheet, this is what you could do for a science lesson. So it's not legitimate um curriculum, but I do try to tie it into those standards that I see that they have to hit for the state tests. So it's in the works. And I'd be happy to connect with you one-on-one to talk more about how we might be able to work together, or, as I bring Rachel in, how hopefully we can change that. Awesome. Thank you. A great question. Anyone else? All right, I am going to drop in the chat. So this is a Google Drive. What is in it? I mentioned it in the presentation. There's a document called Climate Change Contributors. Within that document is the one page I showed you about food waste, and then there's a one page about deforestation, fast fashion, fossil fuels, and oh, the other one's escaping me. Oh, plastic pollution and how it connects to climate change. Um, Also is in those resources is a resource document that has a QR code that links to the Kids for Positive Change series. I do have a series that is currently airing on WQLN PBS. That's out of Erie, Pennsylvania. The QR code will lead you to a private page of season 2, which is all about climate change. And then there's another QR code that's listed. I'm offering my video module course, which has a whole module about food waste free of charge. All you need to do is sign up, and you'll have access to a host of resources and all of these short videos, one of which, if we have time, I'll show you today, that you can use in your classrooms. All right, so that I popped that into the chat. All right, if you think of a question, I will be coming back for more questions. Right now, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Let me X out of this. Okay, here we go. Okay, share. Okay. All right. So Rachel, you're in my window. Give me a thumbs up if you see this. Can you see the presentation? Awesome. All right. Hello. All right. So this is a program that I just facilitated for 7th and 8th grade students about food waste problems and solutions. So does food magically appear on our plates? My programs are interactive, especially for younger students. This is also a program I was sharing with David before our session began today that the main school system where I launched the food share table, where it was highly successful, there was a little bit of red tape this school year, and they said, no, we're not going to do the share table. So what I did instead, it was called a lunch and learn, where the program I'm presenting to you now, I did in small chunks. So as as children were eating their lunch, we were going through this presentation, which reminded them to share, to save their food, and it really was very successful. So does food magically appear on our plates? The answer is no. We know that food is grown or raised using Earth's resources. So we know that some of that land is habitats for wild animals that has to be cleared to grow or raise that food. All right, what percentage? I'm going to ask all of you. We'll make this as interactive as we can. What percentage of Earth's land has been converted to farmland? 20, 50, or 15? Does anybody want to unmute and try? Let me open up the chat. Maybe I can see. All right, I see 20. Anyone else? 20. All right. So the answer is 50%. 50% of Earth's land mass is converted to farmland. That's a lot of land. So what do we do with this land? Well, we raise crops, fruits, veggies, grains, nuts. This requires soil, seeds, fresh water, human labor. We also raise animals for food. You would not believe how many children, especially younger children, have no idea where their animal products are coming from. And those animals require feed, fresh water, housing, and human labor. All right, our next question. How much water does it take to produce a 6-ounce steak? So the question really lies in how much water does it take to raise a steer to produce that 6-ounce steak? Is it 78 gallons, 674 gallons, or 400? What do we think? I want to pop that in the chat. I'm looking now. Anybody want to guess? All right, let's 674. Not sure. 674. All right, we've got a wide variety. That is 674 gallons. It's a lot of water, especially if we waste that steak. All right, true or false? It takes 10 times more energy to produce 1 calorie of beef than to produce 1 calorie of corn. All right, you know the drill. Pop it in the chat. True or false? I got true. 10 times more energy, true. Okay, we're getting a lot of trues. All right, let's take a look. It's actually false. It takes 20 times more energy. All right, good job. Good job, though, everyone. Good guessing. I always tell my students all guesses are good because that's how we learn. So this is my slide where I make a case for plant-based, understanding that animal proteins require more energy, land, and water than plant proteins. Just to introduce students, not to force anything on them, but just to introduce them that there are different options out there for food and milk products. All right, we learned that energy is used to transport that food from farm to table, grocery stores, homes, schools, restaurants, and during transport, that carbon dioxide, that greenhouse gas, here's our little climate change component, is released. That's a greenhouse gas heating up our planet and contributing to climate change, that global warming. And then we talk a little, based on the age, we talk a little about what those students know about climate change. Sometimes my students, their only response is, the polar bears are starving, ice caps are melting. So this again is a wonderful way to introduce them to it's so much more than that. Wasting food is contributing to this global problem. So again, after these slides, students really do understand that when we waste food, we are not just wasting the food on our plates, we're wasting all the resources that went into growing and raising that food. So we drive that point home one more time. I use an Uncrustable as an example for food waste. Excuse me. Simply because it's a big food item here in Northeast Ohio in the main schools where I work. So I asked the kids, "Hey, if we waste an Uncrustable, what are we wasting?" So knowing that an Uncrustable is a peanut butter and grape jelly sandwich wrapped in this packaging, does anybody want to pop in the chat? What are we wasting if we waste this food item? What are we wasting? All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat just yet. Okay, I got peanut butter. Beautiful. That's number one. So again, I talked to the kids, hey, did that peanut butter just magically up here? No, no. The peanuts needed to be planted, watered, harvested, made into peanut butter. Yep, bread, packaging, jelly. All right, you guys have it. There's the jelly. We talk about the grapes, planting them, caring for them, harvesting, making them into jelly. The bread comes from the grain. And then, of course, that wonderful, I'm being sarcastic, plastic packaging, and then transporting those Uncrustables from that factory to the school. So again, really tangible example that the kids really understand. Then we take apples. As you remember, the food share table, the first presentation from earlier this morning, apples, a lot of food wasted. So I talked to the kids about what does it take when we waste an apple? What else are we wasting? All right, our next question. This is only for the United States, but please, wherever you are, feel free to jump in the chat. What percentage of food is wasted in the United States each year? Is it 25%, 30%, or 10%? What do we think? Okay, I've got 30, 30, 25. All right, let's take a look. 30 to 40%. Yikes. Yikes. So that equates to about 63 million tons of food. All of that food could fill 3/4 of the state of California. That's 76% of that food ends up in landfills. So Rachel, back to your question about really marrying this into some sort of curriculum, we could do a math lesson here about tons of food, fractions, percentages. It's all right here. All right, so we learned when food sits in landfills, just a quick review for the kids. It turns into CH4, that methane gas, and that is contributing to global warming and climate change. So again, driving home that connection. All right, my next question. What food is wasted the most? Is it dairy products, meats, grains, or fruits and veggies? Pop it in the chat. What food is wasted the most? Okay, I've got fruits and veggies, fruits and veggies. All right, chat is full of fruits and veggies. You guys are right. Yes, it's fruits and veggies at 45%. That is the most wasted food. So I added this slide for the junior high because I felt it was important, and this is something that you can tweak to wherever you are in the world based on location. What is the worst food to waste? So again, this is state of Ohio, gets your students thinking, is it an apple, an orange, or a banana? Well, apples are grown right here in Ashtabula County. We have many wonderful apple orchards. We get our citrus mainly from Florida, and we get our bananas from South America. So again, it helps your students make that connection. Oh, I guess a banana followed by an orange would be worse fruits to waste because they have to travel a farther distance to get to our plates. So this is a fun set of slides that you can tweak depending on your location. I show this example to them as far as fruits. I know figs are grown in the Middle East, so I use that example of figs being another horrible fruit to waste because they really have to travel far. I also use this example with steak, with beef products. And I do teach the kids that are choosing to eat meat to share with their family members. And when I do family programming and I can talk to adults, I drive this home. Please read the labels. Where is your meat coming from? Is it local? Is it coming from California or out west? Is it coming from Brazil? Again, that same connection of it. If it has to travel farther and you waste it, it's what I call a double whammy. So using again these examples based on your location can really have a powerful impact on whomever you're teaching. All right, what is the worst food group to waste? So, unlike that question of what's the most wasted food group, what is the worst food group to waste? Is it fruit and veggies, grains, meats, or dairy? Drop it in the chat. And I will say there might be more than one answer. Okay, I've got grains and meats, fruits and veggies, meat, dairy. Awesome. Thanks for all this great participation. So it's actually meat and dairy. And the reason for that is these come from animals, and animals, as we saw earlier in the presentation, it takes more energy to raise an animal for their food. All right, where is food wasted the most? Again, this is a question for that's specific to the United States, but is it on the farm where it's grown or raised? Is it in transport? Is it in restaurants or is it at home? Where is food wasted the most? Okay, I've got restaurants, supermarket. Okay, we've got supermarket. All right, on average, it's at home. Most food is wasted at home, but then it is followed by restaurants and supermarkets. So, another really great take action project that you can do with your students, connect with a local restaurant, connect with a supermarket. What are they doing with their excess food? How can you help guide them to maybe donate that food to people in need? All right, again, this is our last US-based question. How much money is spent on food each year that is wasted for an average household of 4 individuals? How much money is wasted? Okay, 300. All right, let's 450, 450. So as you can see, that is a total waste. That is a big number of the amount of money that is wasted. And then I talk a bit about the social side. While some food is wasted, many people go hungry. And because I deal with my primary school system here in Ashtabula, Ohio, a lot of my students do suffer from food insecurity. Many of them do live below the poverty line. This really is very close to home, if not at home for them. So, of course, we want to take positive action. So, we want to empower our students. What can they do to save food? Aside from planning meals, buying only what you need, eating leftovers, how can they go zero waste? Well, very simple solutions. Eat everything on your plate. How do we eat everything on our plates? Well, smaller portions. We have all at one time or another said, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, and piled that pasta onto our plate and thought, oh, I can't finish this. So, really driving home the point of take those smaller portions, eat everything on your plate. If you still want more, you can always go back for seconds. We drive home too much food, share it. Again, using that Uncrustable as an example. Too much food, save it. Pocket that fruit for later. You might be hungry later in the afternoon or on the bus ride home. We talk about how we can repurpose food. A brown banana can be made into banana bread, a delicious smoothie. And then we talk about compost. The school I'm currently working with, we are so excited because they have a whole composting program. We have saved so much of that fruit or those veggie scraps. We put it in compost if we can't save it. So we talk about that. This can be a whole unit on compost and the benefits of compost. There's a take action project I do with some of my students where I actually make compost containers. And over 6 to 7 weeks, we watch the compost be created, and then we do a planting in the spring. Now, I'm not going to play this wonderful, wonderful short by the NRDC. It's called The Extraordinary Life of a Strawberry. It's a really, really fun short that from the perspective of the strawberry, from the farm to the grocery store to home, what happens to the strawberry. But I will drop it in the chat. Please watch it. I love it. The kids love it. It's a great educational short. So after that short, we talk about, hey, if you're hungry, check the fridge. There might be food in there that you forgot about. Once you watch this short film, The Life of a Strawberry, this will make more sense. And then we talk about, hey, maybe that food doesn't look perfect. Maybe that apple has a little hole, or what can we do? The kids get it. Just cut around it, eat around it. It's still perfectly good to eat. If it's a new food, taste it first. If you like it, you can get more of it. But if you don't, you really haven't wasted it if you just taste it. We talk about, and this I do stress a lot in my family programming, what are the proper ways to store food? With the kids, I just kind of do a quick review. Most fruits and veggies do well in the fridge. Potatoes go into a dark, cool place. Again, a fun experiment. Put a potato on your windowsill. I think school teachers have been doing this for eons. But again, the kids will get it. They'll see, oh, that potato did very well. This one by the window has all these spuds. Storing bread right. And then because I'm such an animal advocate, I always like to add, if you got an orange and you're not going to eat it and it's still good, you can always slice it up. Here in Ohio, we have these beautiful migrating birds called Baltimore Orioles. They love oranges. And I found that in the spring and summer, especially in the summer months, my squirrels love a nice cold orange as a snack. I end the program with my No Time to Waste short. As I mentioned before, this full episode is airing on our WQLN PBS station, but this short can be found in the video module course that you all have access to once you open up that doc, scan that QR code. And again, I'm going to skip this for now. I want to make sure we have time for questions. And then I wanted to end this portion with the extraordinary faces of the kids I'm so privileged to teach. These children are fourth graders. They're part of my Lunch and Learn series. I do use puppets with them. So instead of going around to the tables to remind them in my voice, are you going to eat that apple? Are you going to save that cheese stick? We have Parker the pack rat. He's right here in the middle. He's a wonderful folk modest puppet. And Parker goes around all the tables and asks the kids, hey, are you going to eat that? And if they want to save that food, Parker has a little backpack. They can put the food in his backpack. Just a fun little way of engaging them. Everybody loves Parker. I also have a sandwich puppet that I use for my preschoolers and my kindergartners. They look at the sandwich and determine, well, what's in this sandwich? If we waste this sandwich, what are we wasting? These puppets, if you teach students with special needs, are a wonderful way to teach them about food waste as well because they're very tactile. You also see these teaching tools. I have plush food, plush fruits and veggies, wonderful teaching tools. Again, asking you to join forces with me for a brighter future. All right, so that is a very clear example of what I offer to students. And then, as I said, if I'm teaching families, I will really build on those portions of the program that help adults. I'm currently working on a program called Sustainability Sense, Save Money, Save the Planet. I'm developing that, and that's going to have a lot about food waste, using grocery store prices in my area to really drive home for my family programming. Hey, if you save food, this is how much money you can save. All right, any questions? I'm gonna check the chat. Thank you so much for all that great participation.
I'd
Oh,
love to hear from one or more of our eco officers from Pakistan about. We do have a comment there from Mazia um, about the incredible program. But any questions that you might have, or some of the eco officers from Pakistan to tell us about what's going on with food waste in their schools?
yeah, I'd love to know how things are working in other parts of the world. That would be so helpful.
Hi there, I'm Maria Rizwan. I'm also an eco officer from Beacon House. I'm from Pakistan, Johor campus. So just a few weeks ago, we led this was a Green Warrior Week. We went to every class, my whole eco team. We spread a charity wall. We told all our fellow students to bring a small plant. It should be a small plant that they could carry. They could decorate it, and everybody took very good care of it. And talking about fruits, we there are students, our fellow students are very good about their food. They're really good at saving it, and they let's just say that they don't like wasting food at all.
That's music to my ears. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. I applaud you. Wonderful.
Hi, this is
And
Saira, and I'm also from Beacon House, Islamabad G15 Campus Educational Complex. And what we did was we carried a drive with our eco team, and we went to class and we created awareness to the students that they should not waste food even in their break time. They should have their complete meal, and then they should run after playing games, etc. And it was both at the girls and boys side, and the students were actually very happy, and they learned that those who were wasting food, they learned that it's not thing, it's a good thing, and they should be carefully eating their meals and save as much as food so it can be used for later as well. Thank you.
Wonderful. I love that you add in that exercise component, like exercise, work up an appetite. That's awesome. Thank you. Wonderful news.
I'm Fiona and I'm from Beacon House Racecourse campus, and we did the compost activity. So in that we made compost, and we asked the students to bring food peels, eggshells, and all of the waste which is in their house. So they brought it, and then we first we put it in a bin. We then went to classes, make them understand how compost works. And right now, after the compost has been made, we actually last week we actually put it in the school, our school garden. And then we are growing some fruits and vegetables in that.
Ah, fantastic. Yay. Oh, this is so inspiring.
All right, so this is Saira, and I would like to share that actually our our way of doing lunch is it's different. Like students, they bring their lunch, and then whatever is remnant, it basically goes home, right? It's not wasted. So probably in school we don't have any waste. So currently, since I belong to Canal Side Girls Campus, so we have kitchen garden in the school. We have where students, they have planted different vegetables which grow quickly, and then we harvest them, and then students, they have the liberty to take it, as well as we also give it away to our custodian staff. Plus, one more thing we are working on is this, that we are working on healthy lunch boxes. like we are guiding our students to bring healthy lunch instead of packaged food, right? So packaged food means a lot of waste. So basically, we take rounds. The children, they are, in every class, there's a child who's responsible. They take the round and see how much waste, how much wrappers are in the basket, right? A lot of wrapper means a lot of, packaged food, which is not healthy, essentially. So we have a data, we are collecting it like student wise, every class wise, how many students are bringing healthy lunch, and we have, a menu, a chart. So it's working very well so far.
That is a wonderful piece of information, and I that is fantastic. Tracking that food that might not be very nutritious or processed. That's wonderful. I'm actually gonna write that note down and maybe do that type of inventory with some of the schools I'm working with, which really leads to that other issue, because this is such a multi-tiered project of, if we are serving children nutritious whole foods, they're less apt to waste those foods if they're delicious and nutritious. So thank you. That's a wonderful addition. Bravo. Oh, I love all this work. Really is inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? I did drop in the chat Life of a Strawberry. And please watch it. I just love it. It's really fun, and I think, like I said, I know my students here in Ohio love it.
Hi, I'm Manal from Karachi. I'm an eco officer, and like the first student, Maria Rizwan, um, like she said, yes, we went to the students' classes. We had an event, like we had a whole week paperless day where we promoted that we would work on Chromebooks digitally, and we would like decrease the use of papers that day. And yes, we also had a day where we brought plants to school. We placed them all over the school, and yes, students actively participated in that. And usually, overall, in our school, there is not a lot of trash, there is not a lot of waste. Students are responsible, and like even if a student doesn't want to eat their lunch, we have some small animals in our school like cats. So like the chicken meat, we usually feed it to them. And you right now Ramzan is going on, so like there is no trash right now, no waste.
Ah, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Oh, I would love. I saw that Rachel put in the chat, it'd be fun to be pen pals with you at Beacon House. I second that. It would be wonderful if we could have some sort of a connection between your students and students here in America, because um although we're working very hard, and I'm only speaking for the schools I've directly worked with so far, there's just a lot of waste. The kids are getting it; they're starting to understand, but it would be wonderful to try to make that connection between your students and our students here, just on why it's so important to save food, and your success in doing so where you are. Bravo! I love it. I don't know if you heard Bodhi, but he just gave a good yes.
Hi, Camille. Hi, Rachel. I'm Azal. I'm from Beacon House. I'm actually the manager for sustainable development. And I just wanted to highlight to you, so a lot of these kids are here because I really push them to attend these webinars. And the other thing is, they're actually attending at a time when so it's our holy month and we're supposed to be fasting. And the time of the session was exactly when the fast breaks. So I just wanted to give them a little bit of a kudos for, still attending the session and partaking. And yeah, and I really like Rachel's idea of maybe we can have like a pen pal thing going on so we can potentially talk about that. So I'm that person that you need to get in touch with. So we can definitely arrange something.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. I just saw Rachel popped her email. I'm gonna pop my
Awesome.
email in here as
Yes.
well.
I'm
I'm
going
gonna
to take
give
a screenshot of that. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to give you both of mine. And this goes for anyone that participated today that has any questions. Please feel free to reach out. But I love that idea. I would say
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. Let's
let's
do
do
it.
it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And I just want to give a shout out to all the kids for all the contribution that they've made today. Good job, you guys, and I'm really, really proud of you.
Yes, I second that. And especially you were just breaking your fast. Thank you so much for showing up and I hope you have this a wonderful meal either during our presentation or directly after.
Awesome. Thanks, Camille. Thanks so much. I will definitely get in touch with you.
Okay, I will look forward to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take
All
So
right,
thank
everyone.
you all, and
Yeah,
thank you,
go ahead, David.
thank you. Yeah, thank you, Camille. This session is part of Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Month. We will not be having a webinar tomorrow at this time, but then next Wednesday at this time, we're going to be showing a new film about climate refugees. And as I'm sure most people are aware, that climate change is causing people to move from their home locations. It's a major issue around the world. And so this film will not only show the problem, but will also show solutions in three different countries around the world. So we'll send out the information to everybody who gave us their email address. And we will invite you to that. But again, nothing tomorrow in terms of a webinar, but then a week from Wednesday, which will be the 25th of March. So thank you very much, Camille. Thank you all for coming, and especially thank you for um, the wonderful eco officers from the Beacon House schools in Pakistan.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. It's such an honor to be able to spend the hour with you and share my knowledge and hear about the wonderful things that you're all doing. Again, please reach out to me. I'm looking forward to connecting with Rachel. And is it Azal? Am I pronouncing that right?
It's
Yes, Azal.
Azul. Yeah.
Azal.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So yes, I did get your email and yeah, let's launch something together. I love it. Thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For this event. Bye-bye.
Camille, you should stop the recording now.